The Ministry of Health and Human Services National AIDS Program, in collaboration with the Gender Affairs Unit, hosted Day 1 of their dynamic 2-day Women, Violence, and HIV workshop this morning in Grand Turk to empower and bring awareness to women and young girls by equipping them with knowledge of their legal, social, and reproductive health rights.
This is a very important 2-day workshop because violence and the fear of violence are emerging as an important risk factor contributing to the vulnerability to HIV infection for women. The extent to which individuals who are HIV infected, particularly women, are vulnerable to violence and is also an issue of concern. A growing number of studies have documented the high prevalence of intimate partner violence and sexual violence against women worldwide. This violence can contribute to women's increased risk of HIV infection, both directly through forced sex and indirectly through constraining women's ability to negotiate the circumstances in which sex takes place and the use of condoms.
The ceremony featured many faces from the health sector as they all gathered to be a part of the affair. The opening prayer was done by Disaster Coordinator of the Ministry of Health, Mary Forbes, and brief remarks were made by the National AIDS Program Coordinator, Eldora Robinson, who outlined the reason and suspected outcome of this workshop.
HIV plays a very important role as far as gender is concerned because we know physically that women are more prone to HIV infection just because of their biological makeup. And violence also contributes because if you are forced rape, that makes you more susceptible to the HIV virus. Therefore, within the department of the National AIDS Program, we know that we need to partner with gender in order to reach the masses of women in order to educate on such a topic as this.
Also bringing brief remarks was Director of Home Affairs Rita Gardner, Undersecretary of the Ministry of Home Affairs Barbara Higgs, and also the facilitator of the workshop, Dr. Joyce Hewitt, who had this to say.
Each and every one of us has a role to play. So that through the next 2 days, we will be looking at those respective roles, we will be looking at the causes, we will be looking at the impact, and we will also be looking at the solutions, the potential solutions. What can each and every one in this room, and I'd like to acknowledge the presence of 2 men that I see. I don't know how long they'll be with us, but hopefully also in regard to Rita, we already have a program in Jamaica for men only. So just invite us and I'll bring the male facilitators who work along with us, and we have in fact for the last 5 years done programs because you know they have a saying in Jamaica, one hand can't clap. We need not only the women, but we need the men. And we need the men to be in there supporting the efforts, endorsing the efforts, and participating in all of the activity that will make our nations a better place, a more wholesome place, and a more peaceful place in which to live.
To lighten the mood, Gardea Lane of Grand Turk did a special dance in honor of the National AIDS Program. Director of Health Services, Dr. Rufus Ewing, was also in attendance and made mention of prostitution, infidelity, and other factors that contribute to violence against women here in the Turks and Caicos Islands.
But there are an increasing number of factors today which reinforces the dreadful action of violence against women. Some of these include the need of women to engage in sex as a means of income in a poor economy. And this trend is indeed one that is increasing here in the Turks and Caicos Islands. Increasing infidelity among partners, increasing stress in relationships due to financial and other stressors, increasing display of violence in media as a means of, this is violence against women, as a means of entertainment, with the acceptance of it as a norm.
Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Health and Human Services, Judith Campbell, also gave a few words of encouragement in relations to the topic women, violence, and HIV, but bringing the ceremony to an end was Program Officer Sherry Ann Isaacs Ferreira, who gave the vote of thanks.
I'm honored to share the gratitude of the National AIDS Program and the Gender Affairs Unit to persons and agencies that have made this event possible. Firstly, thanks to God for giving us the breath of life and strength to coordinate an activity of this nature. Secondly, heartfelt thanks to the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Health and Human Services, Undersecretary, Ministry of Home Affairs, Director, Health Services, Coordinator, National AIDS Program, and Director, Gender Affairs Unit for their timely and riveting speeches. Your words were much appreciated.
The workshop will end in Grand Turk tomorrow and begins here in Providenciales on Thursday, May 6. For WIV4 News, I'm Amanda Miller.